Happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone. Gig Accountant here. I'm driving over to a wedding right now, and since it's a little bit of a long drive, I decided to make this video. Well, as you guys all know, I am a licensed CPA in the state of New Jersey, but something that you guys may not know is that I also hold an MBA from Rutgers University, which I earned in 2018. So in today's video, I wanted to share my thoughts regarding whether an MBA is worth it. And my very concise, succinct answer to that is yes, it's worth it. But that's a qualified yes. It depends on your personal circumstances, your personal individual situation. So what I base my answer as to whether it's worth it, I'm basing it strictly on average numbers. So what's the average annual income for someone with a bachelor's degree or someone with a bachelor's degree in business administration versus someone whose degree is in someone who holds an MBA. And the answer to that is that someone who owns a bachelor's degree, their average annual earnings is a little bit over $60,000 a year versus an MBA holder, which is over $80,000 a year. So, and the average program cost for an MBA is anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000. So that between the difference between $80,000 and $60,000 is $20,000. So strictly based on averages, the return on investments from an average program is going to be anywhere between 20% to 40% ROI. So by any measure, 20 to 40% ROI is excellent returns. That's returns that you would kill for to get from the stock market. Average returns from the stock market is like what? Annually 8 to 12%, and that's considered good returns. So yes, my answer is yes. For the average person attending the average program, an MBA is worth it. Now, where the situation becomes a little bit more sticky and more dependent on your individual circumstances is if you're above average. So are you already earning over $60,000 a year? Are you already earning around that $80,000 a year? Then the answer may be no. Then an MBA from an average program won't cut it. You need it in order to really get your earnings to the next level. You need to attend a program that will put you at above $100,000, and to guarantee that, you may need to attend a M7, so Magic 7 school like Harvard University or any of its any of the other top 10 universities. But that's going to be like, that's rare for most people. Most folks fall within the average range. And the average range is around the $60,000 range for most folks. So my answer is for anyone who's earning under the $80,000 range and substantially below $80,000 range there, and they don't expect to get there on their own anytime soon, then yes, the MBA is worth it. Now, full-time versus part-time, this is another question that I want to address. And if you're going to be attending an average program, it really behooves you to also do it on a part-time basis. The reason why is that in addition to the accounting costs, which is the $50,000 to $100,000 in tuition cost, there's the economic opportunity cost, which is going to be your earnings. So if you're earning $60,000 a year and you're going to be attending on a full-time basis, that's $120,000 on lost earnings, and that's something that you also need to consider when developing your ROI model, because a $20,000 ROI on $100,000 is a lot different than a $20,000 return on $200,000 investment. So the difference is 20% versus 10%. So obviously, it's better to do it on a part-time basis, because you're not going to be missing out on that opportunity cost of lost earnings. And I believe I read some studies actually, and that determined that yes, the optimal ROI is generated by attending a average program on a part-time basis. And when I say average program, I say like a school that is accredited, a school that is recognized, a school that it's a non-profit university. So I'm not talking so much about the non-profit for-profit universities, because they may not be accredited, or they may not have a lot of credibility in the eyes of many folks. So that's something else to really consider. And oftentimes for-profit universities are just as expensive, and more expensive even, than an MBA from a non-profit university. So if you're going to be attending an average school, I strongly encourage you to do it on a part-time basis, nights, weekends, online where possible, and maybe even get into a company that offers tuition reimbursement, because the more you're able to lower those costs, the more you're able to really boost that ROI. Because yeah, that's the name of the game: maximizing your earnings and minimizing your costs. If the goal you have in mind, however, is to get into like a top tier consulting firm, like your McKinsey, or an investment bank, or investment research, equity research, then you're gonna have to go to attend a top 10 university, unless you already have a very strong network, pre-existing network, or really can like work your tail off to network. And honestly, I feel like if you don't have a real strong pre-existing network prior to attending these non-top 10 universities, all the networking in the world is not going to help you out. So you really have to, it's either lower your sights or attend that top 10 university. So that's my thoughts. So I kind of go against the grain. A lot of folks feel like it's only worth it to attend a top 10 university for your MBA, and no, I completely, totally disagree with that notion. It definitely is worth it for many folks. The average person, it's definitely worth it. If you're an above average person in terms of earnings, you're already earning around $80,000, then yeah, an average MBA program may not be worth it. It's not going to really boost your earnings to the degree that you may be hoping that you are going to get to. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Full-time versus part-time. If you're going to an average program, try to get into the part-time program. If you're going to a top 10 program and you really want to leverage the career placement, because that's where the top tier jobs really come from. It's from the university's partnerships, their relationships, and the career development, recruiting, direct placement into internships. That's where those top tier career tracks really come from those universities. Not so much the skills that it confers to you, it's not the skills that it equips you, because the education material is a commodity, it's commoditized. All the universities, all the MBA programs, they teach the same material. It's the career placement. And if you're going on a part-time basis, you may not be eligible for the same career development, career placements, the same internship opportunities that you would be if you were attending it on a full-time basis. So that's something to consider. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that. For me, like, as to whether an MBA was worth it to me, I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, it did teach me a lot. I did learn a lot. It was a great experience being exposed to a lot of very smart, intelligent cohorts, a lot of smart, intelligent individuals, and the material was sound, good, solid material that helped me grow as a person and professionally develop. But translating that to my career, translating that to earnings, money, I don't know if it has been helpful just yet. But that said, a lot of my colleagues, most of them either hold a CPA or an MBA, but not all of them. Some folks don't hold either, but they are at the same level as I am. So, but maybe it being on my resume that I was earning my MBA, that I was earning my CPA license, that it really got me past the HR barrier to get in front of the hiring manager to kind of pitch my case as to why I would be a good candidate. Honestly, I feel like what these advanced degrees and certifications designations are good for is getting you past the HR barrier, getting in front of the hiring manager. But once you get there, it's completely up to you to develop that relationship and to sell your case as to why you are a good candidate for this role. So, and an MBA or any other advanced degree or certifications, they don't really put too much attention on that. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. An MBA is overall worth it for most folks, but it is highly dependent on your personal individual circumstances. So hey, as I was saying before, as I mentioned before, I am a licensed CPA in the state of New Jersey. I offer tax preparation and planning services as well as consulting services. My rates are subject to my discretion and subject to change, but I am right now charging $100 an hour, so feel free to engage me if you need any support in those areas. This is Gig Accountant signing off. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace, guys.